When you hear the word gifted, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably straight A's, right? Winning the science fair? Well, today we're going to look at a totally different side of giftedness. It's one that's way less about what you can see on a report card and a lot more about this incredibly powerful and sometimes kind of overwhelming world that's going on inside. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It completely flips the script. We're moving away from performance and diving right into the actual lived experience. It's all about that constant buzz of a brain that's always in overdrive, and the really intense feelings that just come along for the ride. Okay, so let's just push the whole stereotype about grades and test scores aside for a few minutes. We're about to explore 4 really common signs that point to giftedness being an internal thing, a cognitive and emotional landscape. Think of it like we're taking a tour of the architecture of a different kind of mind. So our first stop is something called multidimensional thinking. I want you to imagine your mind isn't like a straight road, but more like a super complex labyrinth. The second you take a step down one path, it instantly splits into a dozen others. You see connections absolutely everywhere, which is amazing, but wow, it can also feel like you're constantly getting lost in your own thoughts. I mean, is there a better way to describe it? It's exactly like having 20 browser tabs open in your head, and they're all playing audio at the exact same time. You're trying so hard to focus on just one, but you can hear the noise and the chatter from all the others. Right, so it's not just about thinking a lot, it's about the very structure of the thought itself. A simple idea like, hey, I need to buy milk, can just spiral. Suddenly you're thinking about dairy farming, nutritional science, economic supply chains. It just creates this incredible, tangled web of ideas from one tiny starting point. And that nonstop mind is directly connected to our second sign, really intense emotions. See, when your brain is processing literally everything with such depth and complexity, your feelings tend to do the same thing. It's almost like you're experiencing life with the emotional volume cranked all the way to max. Okay, just look at this example. The event itself is pretty minor, right? A friend cancels, but the internal reaction, it's huge. The gifted response isn't just, oh, bummer. It's this deep dive into self-analysis, this profound feeling of rejection. That multidimensional mind immediately kicks in, searching for patterns, analyzing every past interaction, trying to solve the why, turning a simple change of plans into this massive emotional puzzle. Which, of course, brings us to our third sign, the relentless, and I mean relentless, drive for perfection. And this isn't just about wanting to do a good job, oh no. It's a deep-seated need to meet some impossibly high standard that, by the way, you set for yourself. And it often leads to this paradoxical cycle of ambition and just total frustration. This really shows the trap. You picture this perfect outcome, right? This vision of your full potential that you feel like you have to reach, so you work tirelessly. But because the standard is impossibly high, any tiny little flaw feels like a complete and utter failure. So instead of feeling accomplished, you just feel frustrated and you dive right back in, convinced that next time you just have to try even harder. It is exhausting. And our fourth and final sign has to do with social connection. When you have a mind that absolutely craves complexity and meaning, those surface-level day-to-day interactions can feel profoundly unsatisfying. There's just this constant nagging craving for real depth. And this is exactly what we're talking about. The weather, weekend plans, logistical stuff. For a mind that's constantly connecting these big, fascinating ideas, these conversations can feel like trying to survive on a diet of appetizers. And what you really need is a full, nourishing meal. Man, this feeling just perfectly captures the whole experience. You can be surrounded by people, everyone's talking and laughing, and yet you feel completely and utterly isolated. Because that connection you're searching for, that little spark of a deep idea or a shared insight, it's just not there. It's a really unique kind of loneliness. So, let's recap. We've looked at multidimensional thinking, those super intense emotions, the perfectionism trap, and that craving for depth. If these signs are all starting to sound a little too familiar, what does it actually mean?
If you've been nodding along this whole time, feeling that little jolt of recognition,
It really doesn't mean something is wrong with you, not at all. It might just mean that your internal operating system is wired for a deeper, more complex, and way more interconnected reality than what's considered typical. All that intensity of your thoughts and your feelings, it's not a flaw. You're not too much. You're not too sensitive. It is a fundamental core part of how you experience the world.
And really, that's the key takeaway here. This experience you have isn't a burden, it's a rarity. And just understanding that can shift your whole perspective from one of self-criticism to, hopefully, one of self-acceptance.
If you want to keep decoding the human experience and understanding your own silent intellect, go ahead and hit subscribe for more explainers just like this one. Thanks so much for hanging out.